Hello and welcome to this YourTown, Georgina Spotlight episode. Now, in this straight-to-the-point format, our guest, their organization, and their message is the star of the show. Thanks so much for joining us. Hello, Ben. How are you, my friend?
Hey, Rom. Not bad. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty well, Ben. We're going to call it out, okay? We've been busy lately.
That we have.
Right? I mean, one of the things that we do is we facilitate. We train people in the automotive sector. And sometimes that involves visiting dealerships, and depending on the brand, there may be a lot of them to get to, am I right?
Absolutely. A lot of time away from Georgina.
A lot of time away from Georgina. In fact, I think between the two of us, we went from mile zero in Victoria to mile zero in St. John's.
I was in Cape Spear 2 days ago, the most eastern point of Canada.
Canada.
Yeah.
Okay, now speaking of your experiences on the Rock, because I know you just got back from there. How was it?
Oh, amazing. Great place.
Great time,
Yep,
right?
absolutely.
I mean, who doesn't like
Great place, great people.
Newfoundland? Great people, of course. And, a little bird told me that you experienced a bit of a rite of passage, well, for tourists at least.
I'll admit, it wasn't my first time. But
it wasn't your first time.
No, I did that. So the rite of passage you're talking about is getting screeched in and kissing the cod.
Right. What exactly is that process? Just walk us through that.
So basically, it's a bit of a theater, a little bit of theater at one of the local bars. A lot of them do it, but there's one in particular known for it. And kind of walks you through a little bit of history of St. John's and Newfoundland. But then in the end, you down a shot of a specific type of rum called Screech that's local. And then you kiss cod. You kiss an
actual
frozen
cod.
fish. Yeah, this one was frozen, but yeah, you kiss an actual fish.
Yeah, I'm playing dumb a little bit, but admittedly, I do have the certificate as well. I've been through that. But also, when it comes to Screech, if you've got Newfies in your life, you kind of know about Screech.
Yeah,
right.
absolutely.
It's part of the fun.
Yeah. Oh, fully agreed.
All right. Well, that tour is officially done. Welcome home, by the way.
Thanks. Likewise.
And I mean, you know that I actually threw in the towel on that one a little bit earlier than you did, and you know what that means? It means that I was able to engage with some more great people and organizations in Georgina.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, and let's be honest, Ben. I mean, there's no shortage. That said, depending on, I don't know, our daily routine, our social circles, or maybe our circles of activity and travel, also depending on our algorithms, I guess, it may take us a bit longer to naturally, stumble upon them. You know what I mean?
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, so that's really one of the reasons that we have this podcast, of course, and that is to shine a light on and kind of get the word out to these people, these organizations. Well, one of these places, admittedly, kind of did fall into my circle of activity and travel, but it still took me a little while to really connect. And, I happen to have a good friend on Catering Road, and I go visit him from time to time. I take Old Homestead from Keswick through the back roads up there, and each time I turned on to Catering, just up from his driveway, I noticed this cool little, well, not so little as I discovered, farm on my left that appeared to be open to the public. Now, it just so happens that the times I usually visited my buddy were not normal operating hours. Surprisingly, poker games are less common during the daytime hours.
Fair enough.
You might have discovered. So as with too many things, when it went out of sight, it kind of went out of mind. That is until one day this same friend casually mentioned that the farm down the road from him might be a good topic for the YourTown, Georgina podcast. And, that's all it took. So a quick Google search, and there it was, Elmgrove Farmers Collective.
Right.
Now, they've got a great website, by the way, and the more I read about Elmgrove, the more I realize this wasn't your standard farm selling produce on the side or a simple hobby farm. Something special was happening here. Now, we're going to get to that, but let me build the foundation with a few insights from their website. The vision, simple and sweet, a healthy place on earth for all living creatures. The mission, equally to the point, to live and farm in a way that promotes social and ecological health. Now, note that social element, because that's going to be a bit of a theme on this one, Ben. Okay, and finally, the values. Practice sustainable agriculture, embrace natural diversity, and build a welcoming community. Now, within that last value, a couple jumped out at me. We are listening and learning to create a safe space that's free from discrimination, oppression, and prejudice. And we facilitate connections between like-minded people. Now, there's a lot more great stuff there, but that alone piqued my curiosity. And I imagine that in the Venn diagram of our respective goals, there was likely a nice overlap, right? With the podcast. Okay. So what do you say, Ben? Would you like to learn more about Elmgrove Farmers Collective and the unique role that it plays in our town?
Let's do it.
All right, here we go. Now, it's my pleasure to welcome the founder of Cultivating Opportunities and member of Elmgrove Farmers Collective, Zandra Zalucky. Zandra, thank you so much for being on the YourTown, Georgina podcast.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Okay, now I do have one question for you, which is a little bit off script, okay? Mm-hmm. So I shared with you a little preliminary list of questions that we wanted to cover. This one I don't usually share because I'd like it to come off maybe a little bit more organically. I would like to ask you, or perhaps you could share with us, what your Georgina origin story is. That is, how did you come to be a part of this community?
It started in 2012 when I did an internship with Daniel Hoffman of the Cutting Veg. And my plan was just to stay there over the summer and just do the internship and then go back to my home in Toronto, continue my life. But I just fell in love with the place and the people and the land. So I stayed from then on.
Okay. Yeah. Wonderful. And we hear that a lot. I mean, those folks that they come for the first time, maybe they leave to collect themselves or get themselves organized, but they always come back and sometimes to stay. Mm-hmm. I know that feeling. Now, we're here to talk about something kind of specific, and I'm really curious. I'm looking forward to getting to know a lot more about Elmgrove Farmers Collective. So we're going to start very big picture, and then we'll narrow that focus a little bit. But could you start off by simply telling me, what is Elmgrove Farmers Collective?
So we are a collective of small-scale farmers who are all located on Elmgrove Farm. Okay. And now Elmgrove Farm is privately owned by the Pape family, but they are a lovely, generous family and have opened up this beautiful property to small farmers like myself to rent a plot to either grow food or raise bees for honey. Nice. Or their son also raises sheep. So there's a mix of different businesses on the land.
Okay. Yeah, very interesting. Now, at the very beginning, I mentioned cultivating opportunities, and I'm curious, like I obviously spent a little bit of time on the website as well and fishing around, and I was wondering if you could maybe help me understand with just a little bit more clarity the role or how cultivating opportunities fits into this. I also read a little bit about cutting veg as well as Good Day Garlic. Could you build on that a little bit for me?
Yes. So that kind of goes into our origin story as a collective. It really started with their son, Hans and Luce Pape, their son, Justin, who I mentioned. He started growing vegetables over a decade ago with a couple of friends. And then they went off on a bike tour project. And so his mom, Luce, continued growing the vegetables, but realizing what a big venture this was and how much it was appreciated by the community to buy these beautiful vegetables, she decided, okay, I think I need help with this. I'd love to invite another farmer. So then Daniel Hoffman came into the picture. His business is the Cutting Veg. He started to grow food there. He did an internship program, which I mentioned in 2012, and I was an intern. He did this over several years, and it was several interns after doing this internship who, like myself, just fell in love with the work, the people, the land, Georgina, and decided to stay and continue on with our own businesses. So that's when it just started to grow informally, organically with these multiple businesses. And we're not a cooperative in that, again, the land is not owned cooperatively. It's just several businesses that have their businesses on the land, but we rent from the Pay family, and then we each do our own thing. For example, Cultivating Opportunities, my business that I run with my sister, we grow vegetables on Elmgrove Farm that we sell on the weekend at our farm gate and also at the Georgina Farmers Market, whereas Daniel of the Cutting Veg, he sells about a dozen different crops, primarily gorgeous garlic, over 50,000 bulbs, I think, at this point. Wow. That he goes to different garlic festivals. He also sells at markets in the city. So just to describe that, we all kind of do our own thing and sell in different ways, but there's a lot of resource sharing and knowledge sharing and just support of one another.
That's fantastic. Okay. So could I ask, just in terms of understanding the nature of this collective, how is it administered? Or is there a person at the top? Or, I mean, collective make it very much sounds like it's kind of, everybody's sort of on the same level working together.
Yeah, there's part of me that's laughing at it because we are... we are very informal, and the structure really is just one based on kindness and support.
That's awesome.
And the landowners, Hans and Luce and Justin and Bal, are just very kind, generous people. And so they just set that tone.
That's really
and so
cool.
we just all maintain that. And it's one of support, resource sharing, and just making sure that we all kind of have our backs. And I actually have a good example of how this works in practice.
I'd love to hear.
So several years ago, I was in a motor vehicle accident.
Oh,
and it was at the start of the summer, so I was out. I could not work. And the next day, everyone stepped in to take over to make sure the vegetables were grown.
That's amazing.
Had a home with customers. The markets went on, and it was just absolutely beautiful how
really
that
cool.
can work. And I mean, that wouldn't have happened if I owned the land on my own. It was this collective, this community that was able to continue it. So
that's amazing. That's amazing. I mean, that's the definition of what a community should be. I think. So I'm wondering if there is a specific mandate for Elmgrove, given the fact that there's multiple entities that sort of make it up. It is a collective after all. But is there a single mandate that drives your endeavors, or does each entity sort of have its own direction or approach?
So again, our mandate grew organically and very informally, and it's now we consider it our mandate based on a healthy community for all, and that's healthy plants, healthy animals, healthy people.
That's great. I really like that. Okay, well, I need to know more now, like a little bit more about specifics with regards to the services and product offering. What's happening there on the land, and what are we providing or making available? I'd love to know more.
On the weekends, we're open for farm gate, starting this weekend, actually, which is very exciting.
Okay.
And it's my business alongside with my sister, Cultivating Opportunities, and the vegetables we grow are offered on the weekend, which is Saturday, Sundays, 10 to 3 until the Thanksgiving weekend.
Great.
And in addition to that, we're part of the Field to Table event, which is the third Saturday in August, and that's run by the town of Georgina, where local farms open their doors to the community to come in, and it's a big party, really. So there's music and extra vendors at each location, so that's a lot of fun. In addition to that, what we also offer is volunteer opportunities, because it really is a beautiful property, and until you see it, I can't describe the feeling that people get when they enter this property. And so farm therapy is something that we informally offer through volunteering opportunities. If you are one that just feels you need to kind of get away from the hustle and bustle and connect with the land, reconnect with yourselves, I highly recommend coming out to the farm just for a couple of hours. And it's a beautiful experience. That's
really cool. Can I ask, is farm therapy as specific? Is this a known term, an established term, farm therapy? Is it, or is it something that is sort of, as just, again, I'm going to use the word developed organically as a result of what's taking place on the land?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I haven't heard of it other places,
but
it's something that we often talk about because that's what people tell us that they experience when they come to the farm.
Yeah.
So from that ongoing experience of hearing from other people, my sister, Helena, she is a life coach, and she's started to offer retreats. So these are opportunities for organizations, groups to come on the land and have team building experiences.
Really? Mm-hmm. That's great. So it's open for that type of service.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, can I ask you, if you are going to volunteer, do you need any experience, or
no.
Is it you're learning from the ground up?
Definitely, because there's something for everyone, really. On our plot, we don't use any machinery, which makes it really easy for people to come in and help out, whether it's with prepping beds or composting or weeding or watering. We rely on human labor, and so there's a different kind of task for every capability.
That's really
experience.
Cool. That's really cool. What's the season, by the way? Because it is Canada. We go through the frigid cold for several months. So what does that look like? What does that 12-month sort of run look like?
So it starts for me really in January when I'm ordering seeds. By end of February, I'm starting seedlings. And this year was a little different because Clearwater Farm, another local farm, lovely people, they had offered for us to use one of their greenhouses to start our vegetables, which is very kind and generous of them. And so that meant I was able to start getting plants in the ground early March, which is unheard of outside, to do that outside. So that was great. So that happened this year. So already early March, we are getting plants in the ground. Otherwise, it's just seedlings starting, and then we start to prep beds, as I mentioned earlier, in April, and plants go in the ground around that time. So we've already been working with plants since end of February.
Since end of February.
Yeah.
So it sounds like, and then the season ends, obviously, come fall, things start to slow down a little bit.
Yeah, but there's still then a lot of work, because at that point, although the harvesting starts to wind down, then we're starting to plan for the next season, which means preparing beds for winter.
I see. Okay.
So the work really continues until there's snow on the ground that isn't melting.
Okay, this is really cool. Now, I want to circle back just for a second, because we talked a little bit about, sort of what the offerings, what you're producing there. I'd like to dive a little bit more into that. Could you maybe just list off some of the things that are coming out of that plot of land at Elmgrove?
This weekend, for example, we'll have on offer head lettuce, arugula, rhubarb, spring onion, green garlic, spinach, mustard greens, maybe asparagus. That depends on the warmer temperatures.
Sure.
And early next week, the radishes will be coming in, bok choy.
Nice.
So with the warm weather, things are really going to catch up.
Okay, you have to excuse my ignorance, okay? But I do I assume that as the season goes on, that changes a little bit
every week?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So on our plot, we grow over 50 different types of vegetables, and usually several different varieties.
Yeah.
So every week there's something new coming in, and maybe something else finishing off.
Yeah.
So it is always different, which makes it really exciting both for us and for customers, that every week they come, they'll go home with a different variety of vegetables.
So cool. That's great. Okay. Now, you touched on this just a little bit, but in terms of getting that out to the public, obviously you mentioned folks can come to Elmgrove and shop and get what they need. Does the product, the produce, does it also get distributed or how does it get distributed? Where does it go if it's not being sold on site?
So we will sell wholesale to other farms that may be offering a CSA program or selling to restaurants. For example, Clearwater is one of our customers. And then we also, my sister and I, through Cultivating Opportunities, provide a CSA program. So I mentioned this term earlier.
I want to know more about this.
So CSA stands for Community Supported Agriculture. Okay. And that's when people will buy into a share early in the season and then receive a weekly basket of vegetables from us. So this is really helpful for small farmers like ourselves, because then we get a little bit of income early in the season when we have a lot of expenditures and nothing coming in. Yeah. And then we have a guaranteed customer base for vegetables. So we do that. We offer that starting next week as well for over 24 weeks. And that is $40 a week. If anyone's interested, they can contact me.
That's great.
And it's a great way. It's great for us. And it's also really great for our customers, because then they're guaranteed the best of what the gardens have to offer, because they're kind of our priority, because they've invested in us. So we're going to invest in them.
Totally makes sense.
Yeah. And again, it's every week something different. So it's exciting for them.
That's great. How long has that been going on, that offering, that program?
I've been doing it on and off for 10 years.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Okay. That's wonderful.
So this year we are offering it.
Yeah, I love it. Okay. Well, I also wanted to ask you, when in perusing the website, I saw a few different terms that kind of caught my eye. One of them was sustainable agriculture. And I was hoping that you might be able to define that for me and maybe help us understand what role that plays in the activities at Elmgrove.
Sure. So for me, sustainable means doing as little harm as possible. Yeah. And that means not using any pesticides or chemical fertilizers on our crops. And in addition, my sister and I are very committed to not using any machinery. So in addition to being sustainable, we attempt to be regenerative, to That's really great. Look at the health of the soil and all the life in the soil and not disturb it by using machinery. So we're only using hand tools, and it's a very gentle approach to continue building that life.
I have to imagine, I mean, apart from the fun and there's business and reward there, but it's got to feel pretty good too.
Oh yeah, well for sure. It definitely is very challenging. It's very challenging physically and mentally, but incredibly rewarding. And going back to the community aspect, just knowing that we're all there for each other and supporting one another, it's just there's nothing that compares to that feeling.
Really neat. Are most of the folks at Elmgrove that are working there and or volunteering, are most of them Georgina residents, or they come from outside Georgina?
Mostly Georgina, but some also will come from the surrounding area. We do have volunteers that come up from the city because they've also just fallen in love with
get
everything
out of the city.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really cool. Okay. Now, I would like to know also, and you mentioned Farm to Table a little bit earlier, but I'm curious if Elmgrove Farmers Collective holds events that maybe residents or visitors, for example, could attend. Is there anything that you guys do from an event side?
Not currently, outside of the retreats that I've already mentioned. And that's individuals and groups contacting us then, and then we plan it with them. It's kind of a co-creative process.
Yeah.
But outside of that, in the Field to Table, we're not currently offering any other events, but we're open to suggestions.
Probably busy enough too.
Yes. Yeah.
You mentioned team building earlier. Is it something that like technically even like businesses could say, hey, we want to get our employees together. We'd like to get to the office and come and do that kind of thing. Is that
that's like exactly what we are open to.
So it's true team building in that sense.
Yes.
Yeah, that's really cool. Okay, I love that. So you mentioned the volunteer opportunities, but as a collective, is it something that people can just join as a member, or do they need to be actively working the land, or what does that look like?
Again, I'm using this word often. It's an informal process.
Yeah.
People have definitely joined for their own growing projects. And we have found over the years, the best way to invite a new member in is to have them volunteer first for a year or so to get a sense of the land, and even like getting themselves to the land, because sometimes transportation is an issue. They have to see if it's worth that transportation to get themselves there, because what a lot of people don't realize, if you're going to grow food or raise animals, you have to be there pretty much daily, especially with animals. So you have to really make that commitment, and that's where volunteering beforehand is helpful.
Yeah.
And then after a period of time, maybe a year or so, then we can talk about, okay, what is your project and how can that fit in here?
Very cool. Okay, can you tell me more about the animal side? We've been talking about produce a lot, and I have this image in my head about gardens and whatnot. You need to tell me more about how does that side fit in?
Sure. So Justin Pape, he raises sheep on the farm, and there's hundreds now.
Come on, really?
The lambing process finished about a month ago, so all the ewes had their babies, and it's a very loud and excitable farm these days with all the sheep on the farm. And a
lot of bleeding.
Yes.
Is that the word?
So the other part I'd like to mention is Luce. She raises hens for eggs, and the eggs are available every day if people are looking for free range eggs.
Nice. Okay, that's really great. Okay, I like that we're covering off all aspects. It's pretty diverse what's going on there, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. Now I want to maybe talk a little bit about the role of Elmgrove as it relates to our community, and just to like get your opinion on this. I mean, why is Elmgrove Farmers Collective and perhaps collectives such as this, why are they important to our community and its residents? What do you think?
It's just a really beautiful place to go to. Mm-hmm. And it often happens when people come to our farm gate to pick up some vegetables, they end up meeting somebody organically that has just the thing they needed to hear about or to learn from. And it's really fascinating how often that happens.
Really?
Yeah, it's definitely a community gathering place that just builds on relationships, and I really love being a part of that and just watching it happen. I often just have to step back and let it happen, and it's a beautiful thing.
Good thing to watch, hey? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's an interesting point, because like we all, we need food, we need nourishment, we need vegetables and fruits and whatnot, but there's something else going on here. It's just perhaps an experience that we're not getting quite as easily at our local supermarket, right? There's something else that perhaps is a little bit less tangible, but maybe even good for the soul, it sounds like.
Definitely. And I think there is something very special about seeing where your food comes from, knowing your farmer, knowing how your food is grown, that just really, it connects you more to your food and makes you appreciate more how important good food is for the health of your body and the health of the community.
That's so well said. Okay. Now, I'm going to ask one question here, Zandra, that I kind of asked in a little bit of a different way earlier, but it's okay if we repeat ourselves at all, okay? Now, so it's obviously, as we talked about, a tremendous amount of work, but can I ask you just personally, I mean, what motivates you, and what do you get in return for your efforts?
That's a really good question. I don't really know, other than it just feels really good. And what feels good is not only growing nutritious, healthy food, but it's, again, the relationships that are being built from the growing of this food. So I used to be a type where I just wanted to do it my own way and have full control over the growing process. And then it was more recently that I've just learned that this can't be done alone. And the more help that we have growing the food, it's so supportive and beautiful to see how people come together. And there's something really special happening over there that I hope it is repeated more often. And I hope more people see it so they can repeat it in their own ways.
That's really, again, really well put. I think that sometimes it feels good. It almost, maybe it doesn't even require explanation. It's just, or at least a specific way to articulate it. It feels good, and that's almost enough, isn't it? And I like the last thing that you said. I mean, this is a big part of the motivation of this podcast, is to make this sense of community maybe a little bit more tangible for the residents of Georgina, to foster a certain sense of pride. And I think in a lot of ways, Elmgrove is kind of like a microcosm. It sounds like a microcosm of what we aspire to with our town, with our larger community. I think a lot of the characteristics and traits that you've described, I mean, that's what I want for our town too.
Oh, totally. And I totally see that in our town.
Cool.
There are so many wonderful businesses and people doing wonderful things. And the more that we are connecting and supporting one another, and we can build on this, I can just, it's a vibration thing that people are just attracted to Georgina because of all of this that's happening.
I love that. Okay. Now, we've waited late into our interview to address, first of all, tell us, where is Elmgrove Farmers Collective? Let's call it out.
Yeah, good question.
Yeah.
So we are located at 535 Catering Road.
Okay, wonderful. So we've got the address out there. But if people want to learn more about Elmgrove, if they want to support Elmgrove, perhaps they want to volunteer, they just want to check out what you have and maybe get a bit of that cathartic experience that you've been describing. Where should we direct them?
To our website would be the best spot. So you can go to Elmgrove Farmers Collective and get information there about how to volunteer. And there are different volunteer opportunities with the differing businesses. So you can choose kind of what day works for you and what kind of business you want to get to know more about. And you can also, work with all of us and just kind of check it out.
Oh, I love it. Okay. You've piqued my curiosity. I am going to be coming by. You have grabbed my attention, everything that you're describing. I want to feel a little bit of this myself. So I'm looking forward to that. And first of all, thank you so much for the important work that you do, along with everyone at Elmgrove. And Zandra, thank you so much for being on the YourTown Georgina podcast.
This was a lot of fun. Thank you very much for having me on.
Thanks again. All right. How cool was that, Ben?
Oh, it was really great.
Yeah. I mean, even the way that it evolved, right? From the Pape family looking for more help to tend to the land, to that internship program, to a group of individuals that decided to plant their own roots. That pun's totally intended.
Nice.
Thank you. And, the organic growth of the collective itself. I mean, it wasn't as if there was this grand plan from the beginning, but it blossomed. That's another pun. Thanks. Into this beautiful thing.
It really is. I've been lucky enough to go there a few times. The farm to table she mentioned, that's something my family does every year. We load up the kids and we try to, actually both years, last 2 years, we've hit every farm that's on the stand or on the tour, and that's always one of the highlights.
That's awesome. Yeah. I mean, you were playing your cards a little bit close to your chest earlier, but we kind of know you're an experienced Elmgrover.
I've been there a few times, definitely. Yeah, it's so impressive what they've done.
Yeah, I mean, and the variety of what's being grown and being tended to at Elmgrove was really amazing. And it sounds like if you're a garlic lover, and I know a lot of them, as you do, you're almost obligated to go visit Elmgrove, right?
It's well worth it.
But what I did find particularly interesting was how the discussion with Zandra, when we talked about what was coming out of the efforts at Elmgrove, was as much about the more intangible social and arguably even spiritual elements as it was about the actual products themselves.
From being there and talking to people, you see it. You see it on their faces, the way they talk about what they're doing there. It's absolutely true.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. And this came up again after we were done the recording, and we were kind of casually chatting. And as we were talking, I could see the passion come back into Zandra's eyes, unbeknownst to her. Without really thinking, I pushed the record button. And why don't we roll that clip? Where it's a little bit out of our routine, but let's do that. Now, you're going to notice the audio was a little bit off because the mics were sort of pushed away, but let's give it a listen.
All right.
We also gather always at 10:30 for tea, coffee, and treats. And that was also like a tradition from the Pape family. They're Dutch. That 10:30 coffee is really important for them. Yeah. But just that coming together and sharing is just, I don't know, it's so helpful for each of us. It's like this being witnessing, and wherever you're experiencing that moment, that you're surrounded by people that care and just want to hear you out. And then you leave just feeling lighter and like connect. There's that whole grounding concept too. You know, you feet in the ground, your hands in the soil, and you just feel uplifted from the whole experience, and it just carries over.
Hey, pretty cool, eh?
Really, fascinating.
Yeah, I thought it was a nice little add-on. And, for the record, I did inform Zandra that I had pushed the record button. I got her permission to add that in. But I do think it's another great example where the sum becomes greater than the individual parts, and is just such a great example of what a real community is and really should be.
Well put.
Yeah. Well, thanks again to Zandra Zalucky from Elmgrove Farmers Collective for giving us her time and sharing the story. And as a quick reminder, Elmgrove's Farm Gate is open from the May long weekend just behind us until the Thanksgiving long weekend, Saturdays and Sundays from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. They're located at 535 Catering Road in Sutton, Ontario. And even if you don't end up feeding your belly, you may, even just a little bit, nourish your soul.
Nice.
What do you think? You like that?
I like that.
Thank you. Well, don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. And of course, subscribe. And if you like what you hear, rate and review us and help us get the word out about this great town. With that, let's turn it over to our good friend, Bernadette Connors. We'll see you next time.
I'm a sister, I'm a daughter, I'm a lady of the lake. I learned to drive on a dirt road, and I got all it takes. I see myself in the water, and my footprints in the sand. The moon can push and pull the tide, this is where I stand. Georgina, I could never really leave ya. I've been all around the world and still you bring me back again. Georgina, I've got friends in the city, they've got a tower and everything. I tried it out for a little while, but where you don't have roots, you can't grow wings. Georgina, I could never really leave you. I've been all around the world and still you bring me back again. See myself in the water, I see myself in the water.